Hi, Kirk Carlson here for your value creation tip of the week. And today the problem I want to talk about is the appropriate frameworks for value creation. In every field, frameworks, templates, heuristics are very helpful to help people get to the right solution faster. And we see a lot of confusion about that and with people using the wrong frameworks for different parts of the innovative process. So I want to talk about that. And to do that, I have to start by explaining complicated versus complex problems. Complicated ones are ones that you can solve, and the reliability of the output is pretty high. Complex ones, like life, have lots of things that can go on, like the virus right now, or if you're in business, competition comes along, like with Apple, and puts Nokia out of business. So I want to use as my examples today cooking and Siri to start. Cooking mostly starts from recipes. They may have come, 200 years ago, but they evolved. It's taken a long time to get the right mixture of ingredients so you really have something. Now, of course, if you're a cook, you're almost never satisfied with that recipe, so you're constantly tweaking around with it to making things better and adding things fun for your family and for your friends. But if you stick pretty close to the recipe, it's probably going to be okay. Siri is a different story. Siri, as an example, there were huge technical issues in developing Siri. Some people thought it was impossible when we did it. It included about 10 different forms of technology and lots of other forms of business knowledge. It was a very complicated recipe. They all had to come together and address a real customer need and get there before the competition, because everybody was thinking about summer things. So immediately notice that cooking and Siri have a lot in common. Cooking is based on a collection of ingredients that are pulled together in a form to create something unique of value for customers. And Siri is a collection of different forms of knowledge which are brought together in a similar way to address a need of customers in a way that's unique and it has value for them. And as soon as you say that, of course, the first conclusion is that since there's so many different so many different kinds of ingredients and so many different forms of knowledge, there are basically unlimited opportunities for both. I mean, for example, there are 10,000 cooking books you can buy. So we don't lack for opportunities. So let's consider for a moment quickly McDonald's versus the French Laundry. McDonald's is an interesting company because they based on a formula, a recipe for their hamburgers and French fries. And the whole idea is you can go anywhere in the world, and when you buy a McDonald's hamburger, it's going to be a McDonald's hamburger. There's very little risk in going anywhere in the world and buying a McDonald's hamburger, and it's a very low cost, which normally would put some uncertainty into that purchasing decision. The surprising thing, in all important innovations have surprises, the amazing things about McDonald's is they can do that all over the world. A huge achievement in terms of business and the cooking industry. The French Laundry is at the other end of the spectrum. The French Laundry is a restaurant now above San Francisco, very famous, small place, hard to get into, and a meal there for two costs about $1,000. Their business model is a constant surprise. Every meal, every dish rather, has to be something unique, special, has to taste great. It has to be surprising. Every dish has to be basically a new innovation, a new surprise. That's hard to do. Constantly creating innovations in anything is really hard to do, which is one reason why there are so few French laundries. It's hard to do and it's expensive. But because they do it so well, and because part of their value is just the entertainment, the excitement of experiencing that, they can charge $1,000 for a couple. So at both ends, of course, they both have to do both incremental plus meaningful innovation. So most people, when they take a recipe for cooking and they improve it, that's kind of an incremental improvement. But they're not trying to invent a whole new recipe like the French Laundry is. That's a really hard thing to do. So with those fundamentals in place, let's consider the business model canvas, which I show now, versus what we promote for innovation to start with, which is NABC. You can see it's got all these boxes, 9 boxes, and you can't read all the subtext. It's got a long list of other questions and topics and what have you. In kind of the highest level, you can think of it as being kind of a map of all the different ingredients that might go into a new dish. They're all listed there. You can pick one from the other. And the way people use it is they put Post-it notes on it to come up with ideas. And as a tool to make sure you pay attention to everything and look for the biggest opportunities, it can be useful. It can be useful. Curiously, we never used that at SRI, and we were constantly making up major new innovations like Siri, high definition television, intuitive surgical, and a lot of other things. That was not the way we started. It's okay, it's a tool, but it's not a good value creation tool. Rather, as you know from these broadcasts, we all started with NABC. What's the need? What's your approach for the offering and the business model? What are the benefits, the cost, and what's the competition and the alternatives? We argue that those are the 4 most fundamental questions you need to start with any innovation. And if you're trying to do anything that is unique at all, you're in the world of complex problems, not complicated ones. And again, complex ones have a lot of risk and uncertainty and many different moving parts. So one of the rules is you want to start with the fundamental questions first, get those pretty well worked out, de-risk them, because they set the direction for your innovation. And if those fundamentals are wrong, you're probably going in a bad way, in the wrong way. And you're going to have to pivot if you're lucky. You might just not make it. And that's what we see all over the world. That's why almost everything we see from big companies, once we have them do this exercise, we discover that less than 25% of what they're working on really would matter, even if they completed it. So the point here is that understand where you are. Are you making incremental improvements where you're trying to figure out what to focus on, or are you really trying to create value and use the right model? In both cases, you're working with recipes of a sort. Are you improving a recipe in your value creation activity, or are you trying to create a new one? Take an old one and then completely redo it, or come up with one that no one's ever seen before. So that's my tip for the week. Make sure you understand, are you in a complicated activity or are you in a complex one? And make sure you use the right mental frameworks, the right framework when you get started. And we believe that if you start with NABC value propositions, you'll be a lot more effective and a lot more efficient. So remember, it's through innovation that we're going to make the world a better place. Good luck to you. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.